Let us not forget everything that happens. It's by the will of Allah. Holy will. It's time to unite and stand, and we will be the best amongst men. It's not time to be extreme or do the unthinkable, but to stand together as one. Tune into Sunnah followers, stream it every day, various platforms. Trust me, you'll find a way. Sunnah followers. Wake up in the morning, hands and feet get wet, my Lord. Get wet, get wet, my Lord. Wet, my Lord. Wet, my Lord. Wake up in the morning, hands and feet get wet. Getting ready for our conversation, deep and in depth. Obligations are serious and need to be met. So I prepare so I won't forget. Go ahead and make a good intention. Yeah, yeah. You can rock with some good things. Yeah, make a donation to the side and go from left to make it right. Just remember and don't lose sight. Jannah is the goal. Jannah is the goal. Jannah is the goal. Proper Akida, Quran and Sunnah, Quran and Sunnah, Minhaj and Akida. Actions speak louder than words,
Sunnah following kids, come with me.
Gotta work hard to get to heaven. Treat the people good like the prophet would. Proper Akida, Quran and Sunnah, Quran and Sunnah, Minhaj and Akida. Actions speak louder than words, Oh yeah, and don't forget to join us in the 24-hour Zoom room for behind-the-scenes access.
Oh, okay, I'm back. Guess I can get rid of the gum. Hold on. It's not professional. It's not professional to chew gum when you're trying to talk. I get teachers would tell me, what is that? Hold on for a second, guys. That was a big bump in the night. Oh, that was AWA. Like, I ain't never heard a sound that loud. I got to turn notifications off on this phone. Okay, let's get started. Wait a minute. Okay. Inna alhamdulillah, wa salat wa salam ala wa rasulullah. Welcome to our class on the Articles of Belief. And this is based on the book written by Sheikh Muhammad Saeed Atli. Make sure you guys go to www.atleonline.com and get a copy of this book. This book needs to be a part of everyone's libraries because, as you can see from the title, what Sheikh Muhammad Saeed Atli does is breaks down the meaning of the Articles of Belief. We talked about what it means to believe in Allah. We also spoke about what it means to believe in the prophets of Allah and what it means to believe in all of Allah's angels and his books. and the day of judgment. And now we have moved on to the last component of the articles of belief, which is, what is it? Who can tell me? What is the last component of the articles of belief? Anyone know?
Allah's Qadar.
Exactly, the Qadar of Allah. And when we talk about the Qadar of Allah, what are we speaking about? What is it?
Speaking about
Yeah.
predestination.
Exactly.
What Allah already had.
Exactly. Predestination. That means what's going to happen tomorrow. What's going to happen? Knowledge of the unseen, knowledge of the future that many of you human beings claim to possess. I'm sure that you guys know at least one person. There's probably at least one person you know that claims that he or she can tell you what's going to happen tomorrow or when it's going to rain. That's another one. Girl, I can tell you when it's going to rain. My back hurt. How many of you know people like that? Subhanallah. That's that daggone thinking that someone can predict what's going to happen other than Allah. And this is one of the things that takes us out of Islam the majority of the times as Muslims, because there's a lot of Muslims that profess to have knowledge. If you go to the Muslim countries like Egypt, where my father is from, there's a lot of women that sit on the street corners of Egypt claiming that they can predict, the future. They like to read tarot cups. They like to read the cards. They'll even do astrology charts for you. Okay, zodiac charts. Sit down and tell them about yourself. Give them a resume about you, and they can even give you the perfect husband, find you the perfect husband, the perfect wife. You know, this is the second oldest profession. The first oldest profession is prostitution. The second oldest profession is soothsaying, because it's something that man has always wanted to think he can do, is figure out what's going to happen tomorrow. Well, that's why it's important for us to really take notes of this article of belief, because so many of us fall victim to it. And to think that anyone other than Allah has knowledge of the unseen and the unknown, this invalidates your shahada. That means you're not a Muslim anymore. Okay, so let's put the PowerPoint up on the screen. Let me take everything down here. Wait a minute, what's up? Oh, okay. Yeah, let me start with the people in Zoom as usual. Oh, gotta put the PowerPoint up first. Here it is. And I did post up on Facebook and YouTube the pages for today. We'll be doing pages 72 through 74, or the beginning of the Qadar, belief in the Qadar, up until for the next 2 pages, because I'm using the ebook, which is different. Let me share my screen now to everyone. Uh-oh. Yeah, this is what I want. So you can see. Okay. Yeah, so here it is up on the screen. That's the way the book looks. If you go to atleeonline.com, this is how the book looks. The Articles of Belief by Sheikh Muhammad Saeed Atlee. Okay, and tonight we'll be covering pages 72 through 74 of the book. The Sheikh begins by reminding us that Qadar in English translates to mean predestination. That means knowledge of the future. And he tells us that no good deed of a Muslim is accepted unless he believes in Qadar, or predestination. Believing in predestination is a condition for the acceptance of our good deeds. Listen to what Ibn Umar radiallahu anhu said. He said, if one of you had as much as the mountain of Uhud in gold, and you spent it for the sake of Allah, it would not be accepted of you until you believe in the Qadar of Allah. And the Qadar of Allah was also mentioned by his father, Umar radiallahu anhu. He said, once we were sitting in a gathering with the Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and a man came and said, tell me, O Muhammad, about Islam. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam told him about it. Then the man said, you have spoken the truth. Then this man, who, by the way, was the angel Jibril alayhi salam, who had taken on the disguise of a handsome man. Jibril then asked the Prophet about faith, belief, and the belief system. And as the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam answered all those questions, Jibril told him, you believe in Allah, you believe in his books, you believe in his messengers, and you believe in the resurrection after death, and you believe in the predestination. And Jibril told him, you have spoken the truth. And that was the angel Jibril alayhi salam testing the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the same way I test you guys. You know, you're supposed to learn directly from the people of knowledge. Every Muslim should have a teacher. I should be able to come to any of you and say, who's your teacher? And you give me a name of someone you're studying from. I have a teacher. Okay? The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam's teacher was the angel Jibril. And he was the teacher of the companions and so forth and so on. So, and a real teacher is not going to just sit up and lecture. The teacher is going to teach you and then come back and quiz you to see if you understood what he or she was trying to instill upon you. And that's what the angel Jibril alayhi salam did to the Prophet. He would come back and question him to see if he understood. So here we can see in this hadith that belief in predestination is one of the articles of faith. To reject it or anything about it will mean that you are not a kafir, that you are a kafir. Now, remember, we spoke earlier today. I was talking about how one of the big problems with this ummah, we're so quick to call sinful Muslims kafirs. Because a woman doesn't have a hijab on, you're going to call her a kafir. Because a brother is negligent in his prayers, you're going to call him a kafir. This is wrong. Okay? Unless that woman denies that wearing hijab is an obligation, you can never use that term with her. Unless that brother denies that praying is an obligation, you can't use it with him either. They're both just sinful Muslims. And sinful Muslims are not unbelievers. They're just sinful Muslims. You guys understand that? Now that's different than this, to deny something that Allah has told us to believe in. Now you are an unbeliever. Like I said, to deny that prayer is an obligation, that makes you an unbeliever. To not pray just makes you a sinful Muslim. To deny that wearing hijab is an obligation, now you are an unbeliever. But because you don't wear it, because you just lazy or weak, you're a sinful Muslim. You guys understand the difference? Don't use the K word with another Muslim at all. And don't use the hypocrite word with him either. Because a hypocrite is an unbeliever too. Okay? So, the predestination has been mentioned in numerous verses of the Quran. Not only that, it's also mentioned in many hadiths by the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And let me share with you guys, because we got a new era of misguided people who claim that they're Muslim, but they don't believe in the hadiths. They say they believe in the Quran, but not the hadiths. Well, these people are not really Muslims, because Islam is based on belief in the Quran and also the Sunnah of the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So the simple fact that the Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, mentions the seriousness of believing in the predestination, that's sufficient. I don't have to prove to you in the Quran where Allah says it too. Because when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam speaks about this religion, he's speaking what Allah told him to speak. Does everybody understand? But just to let you guys know, not only are there hadiths about it, but also verses of the Quran too. For example, you can find verses of the predestination in surahs like Surat al-Qamar, Surat al-Ala, and others. Okay? For example, listen to what Allah says in the interpretation of the meaning. Verily, we have created all things with Qadar. That means with divine preordainment. Remember, guys, the first thing that Allah created was the pen. And he commanded it to write. And it wrote down everything that would occur from that second until the last hour. And everything is kept in the book of decrees with Allah. The book of decrees is under the throne of Allah. Okay? So that means that Allah, he knows what would happen before it even happened. Everything that happened from the moment he created that pen until the end, he knew what it would be. He knew what we would do. He knew what choices we'd make. That's very important. Also, we have the hadith where one of the companions said, I found some of the companions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying everything is by measure. He said, and I heard Ibn Umar say, there is a measure for everything, even for incapacity and capability. In other words, everything is known by Allah. Not only is he aware of what would happen, not only is he aware of it, but remember, guys, Allah is also the creator of good and evil. And this is where we lose a lot of Muslims. This is where people become the fire worshipers of this nation. We have a lot of Muslims that don't believe that Allah is the creator of good and evil. They believe that he's the creator of good, but they believe that man creates his own evil. This will take you out of Islam. These are the Mu'tazila that believe that, different branches of them. Okay? We have to understand that everything that happens in this world, good and evil, happens because Allah willed it to. And that includes what's going on in Gaza. There's nothing that any of you can do to stop what's happening in Gaza. As Allah says, if all of mankind were to unite together and try to benefit you, they wouldn't be able to raise a finger unless I allow it. What's going on in Gaza is happening because Allah decreed it. It's written in his book. And more proof of that is, not only did he decree it, but he, out of his mercy, told us how it would happen, why it's going to happen, and what to do when it happens. But we're not even acknowledging that stuff. And this is just the beginning. It's getting ready to spread all over the world. So This is where we lose the believers. You know, the true believers understand that everything good and evil is in the hands of Allah. And the true believers learn to accept the decree of Allah and make the most of it. But the unbelievers amongst us, they're too busy pointing the fingers, blaming the Zionists, blaming America, blaming Israel, when they have to understand that the Zionists, America, and Israel are all puppets whose strings are controlled by Allah through His will. Do y'all understand that? That's why the Prophet ﷺ said, do you think that just because you say you believe in Allah is enough? Allah is going to test us with everything dear, our lives, our property, our children, to see who amongst us truly believes in Him and who amongst us really doesn't. That's also why the Prophet said that you can recognize the belief of a person at the first strike of a calamity. Faith consists of different components. Patience is just one component of faith. Acceptance of the Qadar of Allah is another. Okay? So we can see who our true believers are by the way they're handling this Gaza situation. The ones y'all see freaking out, going crazy. How long before a moderator deals with that? Is there anyone in there that's moderated? Because if I touch my screen, it's going to be bad because y'all, they won't see. Okay, y'all got to pay attention in there. Okay, so again, guys, everything that happens from the will of Allah. Okay, Allah is in control of everything, good and evil. I don't want to hear any of my students be mutazila and say that we create our own evil. No, that's not what Allah says. Allah says whatever bad befalls you comes from Allah as a result of what you brought upon yourselves. So when bad things happen, like the war, when bad things happen, like anything, an earthquake, you sit there and ask yourself, were you a cause of it? Were you a contributor to it? Or are you one of the believers that's going to be purified from it? That's the truth, how we're supposed to look at life, guys. All right. So anything that the word thing implies exists according to predestination. To believe in the predestination is a must. When we say we believe in the Qadar, we are saying that we believe in the power and the ability that is Allah's. Y'all understand that? Allah is the power. Allah is the ability, not man. Allah is able and can do anything. Allah has knowledge of all things, and He manifests things. So whoever denies this is denying the attributes of Allah, His abilities. And such a person would be saying that Allah is not able to do what He wills. So for you Muslims that's panicking about what's going on in Gaza, throwing your hands up in the air, asking why? Why is Allah allowing babies to die? And why is Allah doing this? You've transgressed the limits. You've transgressed the limits in your belief in Him. Whoever denies the Qadar, again, you are denying Allah. Does everybody understand that? So now let me give you a quiz to see just how well you do understand it. Again, we always have our quizzes. First question. This is a scenario. Amatullah gives a lot in charity. She performs all her prayers, but she believes that her grandmother can predict the future. She believes that this is a gift that Allah gave to her grandmother. How does this belief impact her faith? Who would like to answer it? Come on, I don't have all night. Let's get busy.
It throws her faith out because her grandmother cannot predict anything, and if for her to believe that, then that's falls on her faith.
What does it? What do you mean it falls on her faith? How does it fall on her faith?
It is basically is a deny.
So,
she
so how does it impact her faith? What does it do to her belief?
Invalidated.
There you go. That's what it invalidates it. Exactly. Whenever we think that someone else has the attribute that belongs only to Allah, you've invalidated your shahada. You're no longer Muslim. I don't care how many prayers you make. I don't care how much charity you give. All your good deeds are in vain. You'll be the bankrupt man on the day of judgment, and you will have nothing in your favor when you're in that grave. Does everybody understand that? Okay, good job. What about this? Which of the following is true? Number one, Allah knows what will our... Oh, I wrote this wrong. Allah knows what our choices will be before we even make them. Or Allah makes our choices for us. Or all of the above. Which one of those statements is correct? Allah knows what...
The first one.
Okay, everybody agree? They say the first one is correct.
Yeah.
Okay, mashallah, that's the correct one. I want y'all to understand what Muslims don't get is Allah knows what our choices will be, but He does not make the choices for us. We make our own choices. He gave us this gift called free will, which separates us from the angels, which makes us a higher status than them, which makes us a higher status than any of His creation. Oh, yes, the women of this world. And let me answer this sister's question now. We are of a higher status than the El Hurim. The El Hurim are women created in paradise. They don't have free will. They do only what Allah commanded them to do. The women of this world are of a higher status. That's why we will live in palaces and mansions. The El Hurim will not live in palaces. They will live in... Somebody deal with that person on the mic. They will live in tents. They will live in tents because they are not, and I repeat, of a higher status. So for the sister that asked me this question about the El Hurim, every man from this world will have wives among, but there will be jealousy in paradise. You could care less how many wives your husband has. And you definitely will have no jealousy for the El Hurim, because you will sit on thrones with crowns upon your heads. The El Hurim will live in tents made of hollow pearls to show that they are a lower status and they will have no crowns on their head. We are of a higher status than the El Hurim. That's why I tell you, sisters, you have to learn your religion from a woman. These brothers, I'm sorry, I'm just speaking the truth. Most of these brothers have it twisted. The same brothers telling you, sisters, you got to cover your face and wear black and be ugly and walk 10 feet. They don't know anything. So stop listening to those men. And they give you no evidence to support anything they say. Allah says it in the Quran that we of this world are of a higher status. You will sit on thrones made of gold with crowns on your head, pleased with what Allah has given you. So stop that nonsense about the El Hurim. Subhanallah. So Allah does not make our choices for us. He gave us free will. We make our own choices. It's just that he already knew what our choices would be. Allah is the maker. He creates the circumstances. He creates the environment. He creates the scenario. And you enter into it and you make your own choice. He just knew what it would be. So I want y'all to understand that. The Mu'tazilite would answer this differently. They will tell you that Allah makes our choices too. No, he does not. Okay? So this is what we're going to go over today. This was pages 72 through 74 of this book. And by the way, guys, we're almost done with this book because the last component of belief in Allah is belief in his divine predestination. When we complete this book, I am going to go to a new series. A lot of the brothers here, these young brothers, have been asking me to do my series, to redo my series on the signs of the last hour. So I'm going to do that series. Once we finish this book, I'll do my series on the signs of the last hour. And so just to let you guys know. So for the brothers here that's been asking for that, Brother Ibrahim, and also a couple of the other brothers, I'll do my series, signs of the last hour after this class. Okay? All right, so I'm going to stop right here. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Are there any questions or comments?
Yes, Sister Layla, can you please repeat when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala creates the circumstances, the environment, and then we enter upon that? Can you Allah that a little bit more?
Yes, that's one of Allah's names. He's the creator of everything. Everything that exists in this world, good and evil, he created it. He's the creator. He created the sun, the moon, the stars, the earth, the cockroaches, the angels, the jinn, everything. He created what's good. And he created what's evil. He's the creator of everything. But you make your own choices in life. That's what free will is. Remember, after Allah created Adam, he ran his hand across his back, and then the souls of all of Adam's offspring appeared. And then that was you, me, our children, our great-great-greats, all of our souls appeared. Allah then gathered all of our souls at Arafat. And we all testified to La ilaha illallah. And then Allah offered us the same thing he had offered the jinn when he created them before us. The same thing he offered the animals. The animals refused it. The same thing he offered the sun and the moon and the earth. They refused it. But when he offered it to the jinn, they accepted it. And then he offered it to us. And that thing was free will, the ability to make our own choices. We accepted it. We accepted it. The animals didn't want it. They refused it. The mountains, the trees, the rest of Allah's creation, the pen, everything else refused it because they knew that had they taken on free will, they would be held accountable. They would have to stand up before Allah and be judged for their choices. But man is forever foolish, as Allah says in the Quran. Man is foolish. Jinn is too. We accepted it. So Allah created this earth for us to live in it, and the jinn too. Allah created everything here. And everything here is a test for us to see what we will do, if we will continue to believe in him or not. So good is created by him, so is evil. He will make the circumstances. He will create the environment. For example, the hadith we went over the other day. Only Allah knows where you will die. He knows what country you're going to be in. And when death comes close to you, he creates the circumstance to cause you to get on the airplane and go to that country. Maybe your grandmother is there and she's sick. Maybe you're just going sightseeing. Allah creates the circumstances. But then when you get there, you will die. He creates the sickness that you will catch. You understand? Allah's the creator, but he doesn't choose. You make your own choices. Allah created the ghetto. He created the hood. Okay? He created a circumstance where you have to go to the hood because your job is sending you there. So he created the circumstance for you to be in that hood. Then when you get out of your car, he created the chaos that's causing two people to argue and fight. Now you can step in and break the fight up and take the risk of getting shot, or you can stay out of it and call the police. Allah knows which one you're going to do, but he does not jump in your body, Layla, and make you do it. He already knows that you're going to be so stupid that you're going to jump in that fight and try to stop it. And as a result, you're going to get shot. But he didn't choose it. He created that circumstance. You chose it. So now, bang, you shot. Does that make sense? It's just like you're a mother. You bake a chocolate cake. You put it right there in front of your children. And you say, do not eat this cake. But you know, as soon as you walk out that kitchen, your children are going to go to that cake. They're going to stick their finger in it and eat it. You know it. But you didn't tell them to do it. You didn't make them do it. You walk out the kitchen and sure enough, both your kids put their hands in that cake and eat it. They made that choice. It's just that you knew they do it. That's how this works. So Allah's the creator and he's the knower of all things. But you and I, we make our own choices in life. On the day of judgment, when we stand before Allah, those angels are going to read all our deeds and all our choices off to us. There's nothing that we can deny. You can't say, Shaitan made me do it. I didn't have no power over you. All I did was whisper in your heart. You chose to disobey Allah. You can't blame me, and you definitely can't blame Allah. Allah is going to say, all I knew was what you do. You chose that. Is that clear, everybody? This is what separates us from the Christians. This is why the Christians are kafir and we are not. The Christians blame the devil for everything bad. They blame Allah for everything good, when in reality, it's their choice. Okay, does that make sense now?
Yeah, but also, Sister Lily, we have a. This is why
That's
my kid.
That's another example of not accepting the Qadar of Allah. We cannot sit there and blame everything on the evil eye. Blame everything. Blame it on the rain. Look what happened to Milli Vanilli. Blaming it on the rain. It's your choice. Everything good comes from Allah and everything evil too. And by the way, guys, most of us don't suffer with the evil eye. Most of us got to stop blaming everything. The evil eye does exist. But as the Prophet Muhammad said, he said, I used to worry about the evil eye. I used to be afraid of magic. I was just like the rest of you Arabs. I was pessimistic, thinking that anything bad that happened was because somebody gave me the eye. He said, but after Allah sent down the Falak, the Nas, the Ikhlas, I simply recite those 3 surahs every morning and every night, and I don't worry about that crap. So if you are Muslim reciting those 3 surahs every day, you are protected from that garbage. We have to stop blaming everything on Shaitan. We're just like the Christians. The devil made me do it. The evil eye did it. No, stop blaming. Like Allah says, whatever good happens to you, it comes from Allah. Whatever bad happens to you comes from Allah too. You brought on yourself. So you lost your job, not because of no evil eye. You lost your job because Allah took it away from you. Because you were too pessimistic. Because instead of you thanking Allah for the favors he's given you, instead of you showing gratitude to Allah for that good job he gave you, you were sitting around not doing your prayers. Maybe smoking a little bit of weed. Too busy giving Shaitan power, so Allah took your job away from you. Whatever evil happens to us comes from Allah too, as a result of what we brought on ourselves. As long as you Muslims remain pessimistic, blaming everything on the evil eye, instead of looking at your own faults, Allah is going to keep sending calamities to you. Bad things come from Allah. Shaitan doesn't have the power to give you nothing bad. He doesn't have that ability. Only Allah. So ask yourself. That's why the Prophet told the companions, and this is the same hadith. He said, so when bad things happen to you, ask yourself, what am I doing that I should not be doing that will cause Allah to punish me? Or what am I not doing that I should be doing? This is all the same hadith. When he addressed the people for blaming everything on magic. The evil comes from Allah. What did you do to deserve it? And I'm sure you can answer that question if you think. It'll come right to your head. I should have been praying Fajr. I shouldn't have been on the internet flirting with men. I shouldn't have been watching that porno. Man, I got to stop smoking cigarettes. Man, I got to stop backbiting and slandering people. Oh, yeah, there's a reason. And you know what it is. You just have to own up to it. So stop blaming the evil eye and blame yourself. Blame it on yourself and not the rain. Take a lesson from Milli Vanilli. Okay. Any other questions? Yeah. So
I have a question, Sister Laila.
Yeah, go ahead.
I understand the concept of all that, but just to ask a question on the to clarify it for me. Okay, so say for instance, when you're in a situation and you should, so say for instance you're in a situation and Allah already know what you're gonna do, right? But before you do it, that's when we should be able to think to ourselves instead of reacting a different kind of way, right? Like if say for instance, just a scenario that you just gave, like you're in the hood or whatever, and someone's fighting, whatever, and then you go out and get it. So to yourself, it could be a person of, hey, I want to be brave because I want to try to save this person, and then you die upon that.
No, like the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam taught us to do. He said, whenever a hardship strikes you, the first thing we should say is, Inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi rajiun. Because by saying that, Allah, you're opening the gates up to Allah again. You're opening that connection to Allah, and Allah will send peace, tranquility upon you to calm so you don't just react without thinking. And then you have to think. You have to think. Common sense. Should I jump in this and take the risk? Forget it. Bravery. There's a thin line between stupidity and bravery. You look at the prophet said, you then look at the situation and you weigh the pros and you weigh the cons. I'm going to look at this situation and I'm going to see these two kafirs fighting. And I see one of them got a gun. I know that if I jump in this, I'm going to probably get shot. So let me take my phone out. It's all thinking. You thinking. You know, that's why you guys have to take what I'm teaching you and apply it to your heart, because whatever is in your heart is going to come out. Let me share something with you guys that happened to me that I'll never forget. Latifah remembers this. Years ago, when I was in my 20s going to college. Oh, yeah, I was good looking then. Y'all think I'm good looking now? I was good looking when I was 20. Never forget. You know, I'm usually conscious of my environment. But I was rushing because I was late for my communication class. I had to do I was captain of the debate team. Y'all know I like to debate. So I was late. I rushed out to my car. It was in the middle, you know, almost nighttime, you know, this was a night class. And I didn't look around to see who was around me. I was sitting there fiddling with the car, trying to open it up, and a man came up behind me. And he put something in my back. I didn't know if it was a gun or not, but he said, you coming with me. So open up that door and we going together. I stopped. I said, Ya Allah, inna lillahi rajiun. He said, what? Peace came over me, and next thing I knew, bam, boom, boom, boom. I had that dude on the floor, and I was even on the ground. I was punching him. I said, you're not going to rape me. You're not going to rape me. You're not going to rape me. And then I said, he tried to rape me. And, you know, and my neighbors had come out, and they pulled me up. They said, you got him. And they called the police. But I just knew I could do it. I mean, that was just reflex thinking. I never forget, I said, Inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi rajiun. And I just automatically, bam, grabbed him, boom, flipped him down. I was on top in that face, knocking that man's face in. Then when I realized what I was doing, I said, he tried to rape me. He tried to rape me. And my neighbor said, you already got him. He's knocked out. You done kicked his butt. You know, so it'll happen. You know, when you call upon Allah, your sense, the thinking comes there. A fool would jump in something like that. Why would you jump in a fight to break it up when you see the person got a gun? I mean, that's just stupid. You know, as Muslims, we have to think. We have to think. We have to be on guard and always be conscious. That's why I tell the kids here in the class, be conscious of what you're doing, what you're saying, because Allah will put you in a situation to test you. And he will test you according to whatever level you're on. There's a thin line between bravery and stupidity. Okay? Some of us are stupid. You got to think. Thin line. But you can't blame it on the Qadar of Allah. You can't say Allah made you make that choice. That's the choice you made. You chose to defend that person. That's a good thing you did, but it was stupid. Good thing, but stupid. Happens. Everybody understand? We have to think. Okay, but the thing I want y'all to understand is that you can't say Allah made you do it or the devil made you do it. I don't want y'all to think that. That's what the Christians think. They believe that anything good they do, God made me do it. Anything bad they do, the devil, Satan made me do it. We're not that. We're not like the Christians. We make our own choices. Allah just knows what they are, and Shaitan has no power over us at all. The only thing that Shaitan can do is suggest things to us, but he cannot make us do nothing either. Everybody got that? All right, tomorrow is Thursday. So tomorrow we have my 6 o'clock class and the 9 o'clock class, and Friday, don't forget Friday is the call in, the Ask Sister Laila live show. So whatever questions y'all have about Islam, make sure you bring them in here for Friday, inshallah. Okay? Is this clear to you, Sister Laila, on Zoom?
Yes, alhamdulillah. Thank you, sister.
Yeah, no problem, alhamdulillah. Okay, guys, I'm going to close out for tonight. Inshallah, I'll see everybody tomorrow. If we wake up, because if Laila wakes up, she'll see you tomorrow. If not, she's gone. Death can come at any time. All right. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu